wonder if I can talk to you alone for a moment, Mrs. Soprano. On the basis of the Sanford Binet, he's high IQ.
You can't prove it by me. He's got a D+ average.
Well, he doesn't apply himself, but he is smart. The results tell us he's a leader.
Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you? It's good to meet you.
You too, buddy. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Tough question straight off the bat. You can't say this movie, but what is your favorite mob, mafia, criminal organization movie of all time?
Oh, I'm gonna go, I think, with Mean Streets.
Oh, no one else has said that one yet.
I know. It's not, I mean, everyone loves it, but it's not the go-to. But I think like this scene with De Niro when he first comes into the bar and they play the Rolling Stones song, and then they go to the back and he's just like talking about how he can't pay money for like 30 minutes. I think that is one of the most fun and like funny scenes ever. Yeah.
I'm going to maybe assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably didn't watch The Sopranos as it was coming out, or like I know like my household is very like, yeah, watch whatever you want, but where is it more like you watch it later in life?
Totally, yeah. It was definitely not something that I was allowed to watch. One, I was born during the first season, so like it just wasn't a thing. And then even later on, though, you know, my dad and my mom were both very much like, you are not going to watch it. My dad really wanted, he always said like, I want you to know, you know, me, not Tony or not whatever. So it was not something that I really was allowed to, but also not, you know, I was a kid, so I didn't really, it was like, if your dad's a, you know, contractor, you're kind of like, the last thing I want to do is go watch him build a house. I was like, I just didn't really think about it. The only thing that, thinking about it, that I really wanted to see was he was on Broadway and he wouldn't let me see it for a while. And I was like so pissed that he wouldn't let me see it. And then it moved to LA. I got a little older and he let me see it. But you know, like it just wasn't a thought. And then when he passed, you know, it was kind of like going to be a thing to watch. It was going to be a hard experience. So I sort of put it off. Yeah. That was a long answer to your question.
No, I appreciate it, but I am curious, like now I'm assuming you're all caught up on the show since then. What is your opinion of the ending? Because it is legitimately like one of the most talked about things of all time.
Yeah, it's definitely a big question. I mean, I do think what David has said is important, which is it's left open ending, and you know, for a reason, because I think he either dies or he sort of lives this life where he's looking over his shoulder. And that anxiety that we feel in that final moment is an anxiety Tony is going to be stuck with the rest of his life. So I think in many ways, the ending is like that because it asks a bunch of questions, like whether you think Tony's a good guy or a bad guy. And if it's a bad guy, which hell is worse, death or the anxiety of always looking over his shoulder? So I think whichever one you seem fit for Tony Soprano.
Okay, without revealing your cards, I guess. I appreciate that. When you were, I guess, doing your interpretation of young Tony, was it at all difficult for you to not do just a young impression of the character Tony, but an actual impression of your dad, who you like would know outside of just the character of Tony Soprano?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, there were qualities about my dad in Tony Soprano for sure, mostly like the way he stands or the way I learned. I had to study really how to hold my shoulders, how to use my eyes, how to look around. The accent, obviously, but a lot of those things weren't my dad. You know, they were in some ways a great performance. So I sort of was able to separate them because I was going to play Tony, not my dad. So, you know, like the accent, you know, that's Tony, the way his triggers, the way he thinks about the world, his opinions, his sort of the way he touches his nose, all that stuff was Tony, not my dad. So in some ways that helped. It was a little easier to play, I think, a character than it would have been to play my dad. And then after that physical portion and that accent portion, I really had to kind of walk a fine line between letting the show get out of my head, because this is such a different Tony. It's such a it's a different point in his life, and he's very different. And I feel like it was just really important for me to remember this is Tony at a different point. And there were times that I would go at, you know, be aggressive or be angry or be sarcastic in this very Tony Soprano way. And Alan would say like, hey, we're not there yet. Like he's still this young, sensitive, creative kid. So it was sort of like a balance between the two.
Yeah, I congratulations, because I think you fantastically nailed that balance in the movie. We're running out of time here, but I will say goodbye. And I looked at your upcoming CV, and it is massively exciting, everything you've got on there. So can't wait to see all of those as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
As far as your nephew goes,
I'm listening.
stay out of his life.